Part 140. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1391. Moreover, this kind of unscrupulous reporter has always had no moral bottom line. When Yaukewen was not paying attention, she secretly installed a bug in her room. When Yaukewen finished work at night and went back, Xiao Lianjun called her. When she saw the familiar number, she was startled. She immediately locked the door and answered the phone with anxiety. Is something wrong? June, he has returned to China. What? Yaukewen raised her voice. Are you crazy? Why do you want to take that child back to China? If someone discovers it, my career will be completely ruined. The nanny over there has been abusing him. Mr. Fu's girlfriend Wen Qiao said it would be better to bring him back. She has been treating Junhee recently and said it can improve his current condition. How can you let others manipulate you? I don't care. If the child is exposed, there will be no loss for you. Anyway, you are from a famous family. It doesn't matter if you have an illegitimate child. The illegitimate child of the Fu family has been welcomed back with great fanfare, but what about me? Have you ever thought about me? I am an actor, I still have my current husband, and I have my own children. Can you please let me go? You don't need to do anything. I just want to inform you that he is in a very hidden place and no one will find him. Haikan is so big, how hidden can it be? Don't you know my reputation? Don't you know how many people are staring at me? If we have a son and this matter is exposed, what do you think about my life? Won't it be destroyed? Then what do you think we should do? If we don't bring the child back, the cooperation between the Fu family and me will be ruined. You always only think about yourself and never think about me. It was like this 15 years ago, and it will still be like this 15 years later. After Yaukewen made the call, the paparazzi received her voice message. It exploded immediately. This is a shocking revelation. Although I don't know who the person on the other end of the phone is, I can confirm that Yaukewen went abroad 15 years ago not to further her studies, but to give birth to a child. In addition to her current son and daughter, she also has a child with someone else. After Yaukewen hung up the phone, she was filled with indignation. When she was taking a shower, she heard a loud bang on the door outside. She quickly put on her bathrobe and opened the door. She saw her manager furiously saying, "Sister Wen, it's not good." Yaukewen's heart skipped a beat. What's wrong? The manager closed the door, locked it, and said solemnly, what happened 15 years ago has been exposed. This agent has been following her and is the person she trusts the most. She also knows what happened 15 years ago. At that moment, Yaukewen's legs were weak, and people who were used to strong winds and waves were a little scared now. Not only will her career be destroyed, her family and her children will also be affected. How could it be? The agent frantically searched the room for something. Yaukewen followed her. What are you looking for? Monitor, your phone call in the room was monitored by others, and the audio was streamed to the internet. Yaukewen almost went crazy. What? How could this happen? The agent soon found a small eavesdropping device behind the TV, then stepped on it and said, did you just make a phone call in the room? Yaukewen was already in despair. Has everything been posted online? Yes, it is already the most popular search topic. We are trying to find ways to reduce the trend. Yaukewen calmed herself down in the chaos and said coldly, contact someone from the Lu family and ask Mr. Lu to handle the news on the internet for me. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1392. Lu Wenzhou. Why would he help you deal with this? This island belongs to him, and these hotels belong to him. They have poor security, let people sneak into my room, and installed bugs. Shouldn't he be responsible? The agent was in a hurry. Yes, you are right. The phone call was made, and Wang Hui reported the matter to Lu Wenzhou. Lu Wenzhou was worried that it would affect Zhou Tao, so he immediately had people remove the hot search and began to block posts frantically. But the impact has already been caused and it is impossible. Yao Kewen threw her cell phone angrily. Is Wen Qiao on the island? What's wrong? Mr. Wen is in Zhou Tao's room. Zhou Tao's room was next door. Yao Kewen walked through the water corridor and went to Zhou Tao's room. She knocked on the door and Zhou Tao quickly opened the door. Wen Qiao naturally saw the comments on the internet and knew that Yao Kewen would definitely come to find her, so she was mentally prepared. When the door closed, Yao Kewen raised her hand and was about to slap Wen Qiao. Wen Qiao grabbed her wrist and asked, "Teacher Yao, what are you doing?" Yao Kewen's eyes were about to burst and she said, "What a good thing you did." Wen Qiao looked cold. "I don't understand what you are referring to. You are still pretending to be stupid with me here. That is my son. Who asked you to bring him back on your own initiative? What qualifications do you have to bring him back? What qualifications do you have to ruin my life? How are you going to be responsible?" Wen Qiao was stunned for a few seconds and then said, "Am I not qualified to bring him back? What qualifications do you have to say that to me? Since I am the mother who gave birth to him, I am not qualified. Who else has this qualification? Do you know you are his mother? You gave birth to him and left him in Edinburgh for 15 years. Have you ever taken care of him? Since you knew he was sick, you have never seen him again. You didn't even have a child. I've never even called him, but now he says it's his mother and wants to take care of him. Are you worthy?" Yao Kewen was furious. "Why am I not worthy? No matter what, he is my son and my blood is flowing in him. I took such a big risk to give birth to him. There is no one in this world who is more qualified than me to take care of him, that's it." She was hysterical, and Wen Qiao said coldly, "He was not brought to the world by you, but to hell. Do you know what kind of life he has lived in the past 15 years? He has no parents to love him, and the nanny who serves him he was a violent man who beat and scolded him all day long, deprived him of food and made him kneel down. He never lived a peaceful life. That's because he has a brain problem. How many people can remain patient when facing a child with a brain problem like that?" Wen Qiao was stunned. She believed the saying, "Not everyone is qualified to be a parent." Xiao Lianjun was not qualified, and neither was Yao Kewen. "I have some responsibility for this matter being exposed, but the biggest responsibility lies with you. If you hadn't thought about having a child and forced an abortion, the child would not have come into the world. The root of everything lies with you." Yao Kewen gritted her teeth and said, "You want to ruin my career. I heard from Xiao Lianjun that if you brought my son back, you just wanted him to donate blood to you. Then I am here to tell you, you are dreaming." Wen Qiao's eyes were gloomy. "I don't want to say anything more to you. Just calm down and see how the public opinion calms down. See how you can explain to your husband instead of wasting more words with me here. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1393. Yao Kewen stormed out of Zhou Tao's room angrily. Zhou Tao looked at Wen Qiao worriedly. "Although I don't know what happened in the middle, what did Yao Kewen just say about blood? Is that true?" Wen Qiao couldn't help but sit on the bed. "I had a strange illness and needed the child's blood, but I brought him back because if the child stayed there, he might not live long. The child was very pitiful. All along, he was just a tool, a dispensable pawn. His mother only used him as a tool to take over the Xiao family. Now that it was exposed, his mother didn't care about his health and was only worried about her acting career and family now. Zhou Tao touched her shoulder. Yao Kewen is going to hire a very powerful publicist, and her acting career will be affected. But she has been in the entertainment industry for so many years, and she still has connections. The important thing now seems not to be her career, but her family. Wen Qiao's head was a little swollen. He never expected that Yao Kewen would be exposed because someone installed a bug. Today's paparazzi are really hard to guard against. Forget it, just wait and see what happens. It's beyond my control when things develop like this. Then do you regret taking that boy back to China? Wen Qiao glanced at Zhou Tao and shook his head. I don't regret it. She didn't regret it at all. She couldn't imagine what it would be like for Junhee to stay in that dark villa in Edinburgh and be abused by Aunt Zhen. Zhou Tao hugged her and said, then let nature take its course. The filming of the crew will definitely be suspended. With such a big thing happening to Yao Kewen, it is doubtful whether she can continue to be used in the future. Yao Kewen was so anxious that she left the island all night. Her husband called her, but she didn't even dare to answer it. But this is not just about escaping. She hesitated and could only answer the phone. Come back immediately and we'll talk about it when we get home. Fu Nanli went to the South Island overnight. Coincidentally, he saw Lu Wenzhou at the ferry. Lu Wenzhou came to see Zhou Tao. There were paparazzi sneaking into his island and even sneaking into the hotel room. How could he not worry about Zhou Tao's safety? If others can install a bug in Yao Kewen's room, they can install a camera in Zhou Tao's room. Because of this incident, all the important senior managers of the Nandao Hotel were fired and a new group of people was immediately replaced. The hotel sincerely apologized to the public and assured that privacy and security will be highly valued by them in the future. Lu Wenzhou sent someone to investigate and found that the two paparazzi had snuck all the way there, and one of them knew how to pick the door and unlock it. Wen Qiao had seen two sneaky people outside the island. She always had a good memory and quickly locked onto those two people. This is no ordinary news digging, this is already a crime. Wen Qiao drew the faces of the two men and gave them to Fu Nanli. Fu Nanli said coldly, if they know the law and break the law, let them go to jail. The matter was quickly arranged, and Lu Wenzhou arranged other places for Fu Nanli and Wen Qiao to live. Wen Qiao sat on the bed, not feeling sleepy. Yao Kewen was very excited and felt that I should not bring Xiao Junhee back. Because I brought Junhee back, this matter was exposed. Fu Nanli naturally defended her shortcomings unconditionally. The root cause of this matter is that she did something wrong back then. You don't have to blame yourself. This matter has always existed. There is no airtight wall. Maybe even without you, this matter will be exposed. Of Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1394. Wen Qiao was hugged by the man and smiled, in this world, you always favor me. Fu Nanli raised his eyebrows, you are my girlfriend, I won't favor you, who should I favor? The phone vibrated, and it was from Lu Yuyu, saying that it was Yao Kewen who had sent an apology statement. Yao Kewen posted a solemn apology on her Weibo. She said she did something wrong 15 years ago, which was her own family matter and occupied public resources. She felt very sorry and would apologize to her husband and children. She hoped that can get their understanding. This apology statement is quite cleverly written. In addition, she is well liked and well connected in the circle. Many marketing accounts and media accounts have stated that this is indeed a family matter. As long as her husband forgives her, netizens should not criticize others harshly. As long as the person's acting skills are good and their professional ability is strong enough, that's all. The dome of the water villa is transparent. Wen Qiao looked at the starry sky and asked Fu Nanli, do you think Yao Kewen's husband will forgive her? Sorry, I have no experience and can't guess. If it were me and I cuckolded you, would you forgive me? The man pinched his waist, and Wen Qiao hissed, what are you doing again? You won't cheat on me. What if, for example, you love me deeply, and Yao Kewen's husband seems to love her very much? I just want to hear what you men think. Fu Nanli narrowed his eyes and looked at her, what else can I do? Of course I choose to forgive you. Wen Qiao tilted his head, really? Well, as long as you are willing to stay with me, that's enough. Wen Qiao hugged his waist, I will definitely not love you, don't worry. The man pressed forward and said, if you dare, see how I punish you. 2 days later, although the internet was still fiercely debating about Yao Kewen, the support and opposition were equally divided. There were even more people supporting her, saying that her acting skills were indeed good and that they did not care about her family affairs. After all, Xiao Lianjun is a celebrity, and his name has not been exposed this time. Wen Qiao went to the western suburbs villa to visit Xiao Junhee. Xiao Junhee was so happy when he saw her coming. His face was still stained with flour and he ran over excitedly, Sister, Aunt Chin taught me how to make cakes. I can make cakes and I'll make them for you. Wen Qiao touched his head and said, Sister, you're in for a treat. I'm really looking forward to it. Xiao Junhee wore an apron and followed Aunt Chin in making cakes. Wen Qiao could feel the child's cheerful mood and couldn't help but be infected by him. The doorbell rang, and the servant went to open the door. Wen Qiao didn't expect that it was Yao Kewen who came. Apparently Xiao Lianjun told her the address. Her expression was a little sinister, and Lei Lifeng walked over and grabbed Xiao Junhee's wrist, follow me. As for his mother who had not appeared in his life since he was 3 years old, Xiao Junhee didn't know this woman at all. He was frightened by her cruel expression. He grabbed Aunt Chin's hand and cried out, who is she? Who is she? I won't leave, I won't leave. Yao Kewen said hysterically, I am your mother. If you come with me, you are not allowed to live here. Her acting career was saved, and her family seemed to be saved, but she knew that the marriage was dead in name only. Her husband was only trying to save her face, and the children were all 13. If this incident were to spread, school, how should she behave? Wen Qiao wants Junhee's blood. Let her dream. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1395. This woman caused everything. She wants revenge, and she won't let Wen Qiao get what he wants. Xiao Junhee is her son. He is still underage. She has the right to make the decision. If Xiao Lianjun dares to object, then she will expose the identity of her son's father. Anyway, she has nothing to be afraid of now. Xiao Lianjun still wants to be shameless. I didn't dare to stop her. Where are you taking him? He doesn't even know you. Yao Kewen ignored her, I am his mother, do you care where I take him? Xiao Junhee was so frightened that he shouted, Sister, save me. Yao Kewen roared angrily, shut up, you crier, don't you look like a boy at all. With that said, he dragged Xiao Junhee out. Wen Qiao stepped forward and grabbed Xiao Junhee's hand. Xiao Junhee was trembling all over. Let him go, don't you see that he is afraid of you? Stop meddling in other people's business. Wen Qiao's eyes were cold and determined, what if I have to take care of it? Oh, it also depends on whether you can control it or not. Wen Qiao grabbed Yao Kewen's hand. Yao Kewen felt that her bones were about to be crushed by her. Wen Qiao, what are you doing? She couldn't stand the pain anymore and had to let go of Xiao Junhee's hand. Wen Qiao said coldly, because you are his mother after all, so I won't do anything to you, but please take care of yourself. Although you gave birth to this child, you have never been responsible for him for a day, so I don't need to ask for your consent. You have ulterior motives and impure motives. Do you think my son is stupid and easy to deceive? Wen Qiao frowned. This woman was getting more and more outrageous. Junhee, come with me. I am your mother. Follow me. Xiao Junhee was so frightened that he hid behind Wen Qiao, his face full of panic. He just felt that this ant was so scary. Yao Kewen pointed at Wen Qiao. Wait. Wen Qiao said expressionlessly, I'll wait. Yao Kewen left the villa again in a rage. Xiao Junhee was frightened. Wen Qiao comforted him for a while before he calmed down. Aunt Qin took him upstairs. Wen Qiao took one step ahead of Yao Kewen and asked Fu Nanli to take her to meet Xiao Lianjun. Can Junhee's custody rights be transferred to my mother? Fu Nanli was drinking tea and almost squirted. This girl didn't even discuss it with him in advance. Wen Qiao saw the shocked look on his face. It was passed to her mother, not to her. Therefore, a son would not fall from the sky between them, so why panic? Xiao Lianjun was also a little surprised. The child had low intelligence and was not alive for a long time. Xiao Wen was too concerned about him. He was even eager to do so. Wouldn't it be a God-given opportunity to break away from him? But he couldn't show it too obviously and said with a smile, Are you serious? Have you discussed this with your mother? After discussing it, she was very happy because she felt that Mr. Xiao was busy with his affairs and could not take care of Junhee. Junhee and I are getting along very well now, and selfishly, I also need his help in donating blood, so I think I should repay the favor. He, now that his identity has been exposed, does not necessarily have to live in Nanli's villa. I think if I can take him to live in my house, I have a large family and my mother is very kind. Maybe I will have more information about his condition. Big help. Xiao Lianjun smiled. What you said makes sense, but I am somewhat reluctant to let him go. After all, he is my son. Wen Qiao felt light-hearted, but come on, Xiao Lianjun wished that his son had nothing to do with him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1396. It's embarrassing for you, but it's all for his own good, isn't it? Xiao Lianjun pretended to decline twice, but finally agreed. With the Fu family's connections, it only took half a day to go through the process and get the matter done. Su Yun was a kind person. When she heard what happened to the child, she was so distressed that she burst into tears. Uncle Ji was also a good person and immediately agreed to adopt the child without saying a word. Xiao Junhee was taken to Wen Qiao's house the next day. Fortunately, Fu Nanli had bought another yard before, so the whole family would not be unable to live together. 2 more empty rooms were packed out, one for Junhee and one for Aunt Qin. Su Yun said to Wen Qiao, now that your Uncle Ji has asked someone to help at the convenience store, I will stay at home and cook for Xiao Mo, Xiao Qi, and Junhee. I don't need Nanli to specially send someone to follow their children. The main reason is that he has become a little accustomed to Aunt Qin recently. He will be scared if there is no familiar person around him. We will see how he adapts later. If he adapts well, he will let Aunt Qin return to Fu's house. Okay, I'll listen to you. Your brothers were already very tall when they were 15 years old. This kid is not even taller than you when he is 15 years old. I have to make up for him. Well, thank you for your hard work, Mom. Why are you so hard? When she spends all day in the club, and Xiao Mo is a computer fan. As for you, you live at Fu Nanli's place every now and then, and no one talks to me anymore. I like to take care of children, and this child is just like me, just like a child. Don't worry, Mom has experience and will take care of him well. Suyun naturally had an aura of motherly love, and Xiao Junhee was willing to get close to her after one day of arrival. Xiao Junhee called Aunt Suyun, and Suyun treated him as her own child and cooked different delicious dishes for him in different ways. Both Wen Qi and Wen Mo felt that their mother had suddenly become a stepmother. Wen Qiao looked at Xiao Junhee's cheerful smile and felt relieved. Yao Kewen took a slow step and went to Xiao Junhee, "Give me the custody of the child, and I will take care of him from now on." Where is she supposed to take care of that child? She just wanted to cause trouble for Wen Qiao. As long as it was what Wen Qiao wanted, she would definitely not let her get it. Xiao Lianjun hesitated for a while. Junhee's custody rights have been handed over to Xiao Wen's mother. Yao Kewen thought she heard wrongly. "What did you say?" "She came to see me the day before yesterday and the procedures were completed quickly. I saw that she was very dedicated to the child. The child also liked her and relied on her. This is good." Yao Kewen gritted her teeth and said, "Is she trying her best? She clearly just wants to get benefits from Junhee. She has ulterior motives. So? What do you want to do? Do you still want to make things bigger? Your acting career is not affected much now, so just leave it like this. Don't make a fuss. It's for the sake of the child." Yao Kewen didn't give up. She ran to Wen Qiao's house and saw her son talking and laughing with a middle-aged woman and helping her choose vegetables. She walked over, pointed at Suyun and said, "You let my son come to your house just to work for your family." Wen Qiao heard Yao Kewen's voice in the room and really felt that this woman was inexplicable. She had ignored her for more than 10 years, but now she kept talking about her son. She came to the yard and stood in front of her mother. "Ms. Yao, why are you here again? Junhee's custody rights are now in my mother's name. You just breaking into my house like this is called trespassing. I can sue you. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me. The boss lost his memory and only remembers me." Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1397. Yao Kewen looked at Wen Qiao angrily. "You are young, but you are very scheming. You planned it from the beginning. You took advantage of my son's low IQ, so you deliberately got close to him, and finally took away his care. Quan, just to make him a blood cow for you, so that no one can stop you. You are so vicious." Wen Qiao was not irritated by her and said calmly, "I just need 600 ml of Junhee's blood. There is no such thing as blood bull. I will also ask for his consent. He has a mental age of only 5 years old. If you treat him falsely, of course he will definitely agree. He would agree only because I, Shi Kong, would trouble me to reflect on my actions before doing anything to him and Ms. Yao. I have never concealed my purpose from the beginning. I also told Mr. Xiao about this. It's clear, I admit that I had a purpose in the beginning, but my concern and sympathy for Junhee are also real. As an outsider, I have done more for Junhee than you, my biological mother, have done for him. So, don't come to my house again, otherwise you will lose more things." Yao Kewen's face turned pale. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm not threatening you, but please don't shoot yourself in the foot." Yao Kewen pointed at her. "You've done me a disservice." Wen Qiao looked at her coldly. "You have completely ignored your responsibilities. If you had just kept to yourself from the beginning, and did not have two sides, you would have abandoned him before he gave birth to a child, and you would have hidden it from your current husband. None of this will happen today." Yao Kewen, a delicate person like her, lost her legs and collapsed on the ground with tears streaming down her face. "What else can I do? You don't know what my life was like when I was a child. My mother was a dancer in a ballroom. I don't even know that who is my father? I have lived a precarious life since I was a child. I just want to marry into a rich family. Am I wrong?" Wen Qiao stood under the tree, looking at the wailing woman, with mixed emotions and didn't know what to say. "They all looked down on me. Those ladies from famous families and socialites all smiled at me. But they turned around and said behind my back that I was wishful thinking. They said that even with my status, I wanted to marry into a wealthy family. I just wanted to prove it to me. They just saw it, am I wrong? Wen Qiao sighed silently in her heart, with mixed feelings. She did know how the people in this famous family were usually aloof, and she was often discriminated against by others. The difference is that she doesn't take it to heart, but Yao Kewen always holds back her energy to prove herself. The difference is that she met Fu Nanli, while Yao Kewen met Xiao Lianjun. She is indeed miserable. I have been looked down upon and suffered so much. Is Xiao Lianjun right? He said at the beginning that he would marry me into the Xiao family. He said that he and his current wife have no relationship at all. Then why didn't you break up with your then boyfriend at that time? Isn't this a sign of lack of confidence? Deep down in your heart, you didn't believe that Xiao Liang would marry you at the banquet. Your then boyfriend was the one you had no choice but to retreat from. Spare tire, right? This statement is straightforward, but it also hits the nail on the head. Yao Kewen sobbed and cried, Xiao Lianjun is simply cold-blooded. My boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband, was very good to me. He loved me very much and cared for me meticulously. Do you think I have no guilt? It's so contradictory, I'm so conflicted. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1398. Wen Qiao sighed silently. The complexity and greed of human nature were vividly displayed in her. Then what you should do now is not to come here to embarrass me, but to confess to your husband and ask for his forgiveness. Maybe I am also at fault. Bring Junhee back, but if you don't bring him back, he will die soon. In that dark villa in Edinburgh, he was tortured to death by that woman named Aunt Zhen. You were also pregnant with him for 10 months. Please have some sympathy for him. Yao Kewen's eyes were filled with tears. You are not married. You don't understand. Sometimes people don't care about so many things. He is Xiao Lianjian's child. I hate Xiao Lianjun. Why should I be nice to his child? He was born without his parents, and was diagnosed with mental retardation at the age of 3. After that, the woman named Aunt Zhen stayed by his side for more than 10 years, beating and scolding him at every turn, depriving him of food, and making him kneel as a punishment. Ms. Yao, it's your son, and I didn't ask you to be nice to him, but please don't deprive others of the opportunity to be nice to him. This child has suffered a lot, and his suffering is much worse than yours. You still have the opportunity to talk to others after suffering. But he doesn't even know how to complain. Yao Kewen looked at the shrinking child standing behind Wen Qiao and lowered her eyes. She gave up. She held onto the table beside her and wanted to stand up, but she couldn't stand up because of numbness in her legs. Xiao Junhee walked over and reached out to help her. Yao Kewen glanced at him with twinkling eyes. The child's features looked like hers and his eyes were pure. At first glance, he was a good and innocent child. She didn't know what was going on, but her heart seemed to be touched, and she stood up with Xiao Junhee's hand. I gave him one last look, then turned and walked out the door. When Qiao put her arms around Xiao Junhee's shoulders, she yells every time she sees you. Aren't you afraid of her? Xiao Junhee shook his head, not afraid. Wen Qiao raised an eyebrow. This was probably the wonder of the blood relationship between mother and son. No matter how Yao Kewen treated him, he always had a family filter for her. Come here, sister will give you acupuncture. Are you afraid of pain? Don't be afraid. My sister told me to be brave, and I will be brave. Wen Qi came in from the outside, looked at Wen Qiao's gentle look, and said angrily, Wen Qiao, why are you treating this kid like Wen Mo, why are you so cruel to me? Wen Qiao, reflect on yourself first. Are you as cute as your brothers? When Kai's eyes widened, which of my 3 million fans wouldn't praise me for my cuteness? Ah! When did they become blind? When Chi threw away his satchel, today, I will ask your handsome and cute brother to be your assistant, so that you can see my charm. So, when Wen Chi was working as an assistant, Wen Qiao gave him a lot of disdain. My hands and feet are too slow, I often get the wrong needles, I am not patient enough, I am not careful enough, I am simply getting in the way. Mr. Chi, I'm going to be humming autistic. You just dislike me. Mr. Chi, a tall boy about 1.8 meters tall, felt aggrieved. Wen Qiao put away the needle bag and washed her hands. Seeing that her brother was still autistic, she stretched out her hand and rubbed his head. Why don't you have any measure? Who told you to double standard? In the past, when Mo was his biological brother, so he tolerated it, but now there is a boy who is not related by blood, and his status has dropped one place. Unwilling to be reconciled, I died of grievance. Wen Qiao reached out and hugged him. You are still energetic. Cut the watermelon for me to eat. Wen Qiao raised her eyebrows. Forget it, her brother has been wronged like this, so she can do her service for once. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1399. She picked up the big watermelon from the well water, cut it into pieces, and said, Xiao Qi, come in and ask Xiao Mo to come out and eat the watermelon together. When Qi shouted at the window, Xiao Mo, come out and eat melon. The 3 teenagers sat in a row on the bench. Wen Qiao gave each of them a piece of watermelon. The 3 of them acted like children. Wen Qi was also easily satisfied, so he started to be silly and said vaguely, Wen Qiao, you must always be so good to me in the future. Wen Qiao raised his eyebrows. Looking at your behavior, you are as good as my 2 brothers. I will always be good to you. That's so boring. Just like triplets, people always have their own characteristics. Mine is the domineering and cool Mr. Qi. A few people were chatting and laughing. Although Junhee didn't quite understand, he also joined in the fun and was no longer the same as before. At night, Suyun sat by the bed and told him stories, and Junhee's eyes were full of happiness. When Qiao entered his room and Suyun went out, Xiao Junhee retold the story that his aunt had just told Wen Qiao, and he told it quite decently. Junhee, my sister has something I want to tell you. Junhee had a well-behaved look on his face and listened carefully. My sister is sick and needs Junhee's blood. It's not much, only 600 milliliters. You probably don't have the idea. You can probably make up for it by donating this blood and drinking a little more bone soup. Are you willing? Junhee seemed to be reacting to her words. It took him a while to react, and he immediately stretched out his arms. Pull now, smoke now. As long as my sister wants it, I can give it to her. When Qiao's nose suddenly felt a little sore, the child's sincere and urgent eyes, and the fear that she would regret not letting him go and that he would be worthless. Many emotions were intertwined, making her moved and distressed at the same time. Not yet, Junhee's body is not strong enough. Junhee's eyes suddenly dimmed. Is my blood unhealthy? When Qiao rubbed his head, no, Junhee's blood is very healthy, but if blood is drawn now, Junhee's body will be overwhelmed. It doesn't matter, sister, it doesn't matter to me. He always felt that he was useless, but suddenly he knew that he also had something that his sister needed. He didn't want to waste a moment, and he couldn't wait to give her what his sister needed immediately. When Qiao's eyes were wet, silly boy, don't worry, sister, you must eat well and take good care of yourself, and then help sister, Junhee nodded vigorously, yes, okay. Wen Qiao adjusted the temperature of the air conditioner, covered him with a thin quilt, left the room, sat at the door for a while, lowered his head and smiled. She and Junhee could be regarded as redeeming each other. He saved her, and she also saved him. Her heart felt full, and she felt that such a life was quite meaningful. 2 days later, Zhou Tao called Wen Qiao and said that Yao Kewen had returned to South Island to join the crew again. There is a huge debate on the internet about Yao Kewen's reshoot. Some people think that she has moral issues and should quit the entertainment industry. Some people think that her husband can forgive her. What right do you ordinary people have to criticize her? Of course, this has nothing to do with Wen Qiao. As long as Yao Kewen doesn't bother her anymore, that's enough. Regarding Xiao Junhee's condition, she and her uncle worked together to treat him. It was rare for Su Ce to encounter a case that made him somewhat difficult. His situation was too special. Amnesiac Bigshot remembers only me, the boss lost his memory and only remembers me. Author, Ding Jiashu. Chapter 1400. The more difficult it was, the more interested he became, spending all day in his laboratory. Junhee's emotional disorder quickly recovered, but what troubled Su Ce more was his mental retardation. Uncle, can this be cured? He seems to be a congenital imbecile. Su Ce raised his eyebrows. If I can implant a piece of memory into your memory, it will naturally improve his innate lack of intelligence. As soon as he said this, Wen Qiao suddenly saw hope. Can he live like a normal person? It's a bit difficult to be completely like a normal person. There are still some shortcomings, but I can live a normal life and I can also read and read. That would be great. Ms. Shi Tianxiu, who previously joined the airline and infiltrated Fu Nanli's crew, has been very depressed recently. She was expelled from Fu Nanli's crew with just one word. Didn't she join Dongchuan Airlines just because of Fu Nanli? Now that he is being driven to another crew, he naturally has no motivation. Moreover, Captain Fu only came to the airline once or twice a month. Every time he came, he was surrounded by several bodyguards, and sometimes he happened to catch her flying. Therefore, she had not seen Fu Nanli for half a year. She was so angry that she gritted her teeth, and the stewardess on the same crew added fuel to the fire. Captain Fu, please listen to his girlfriend, please stop daydreaming. Shi Tianxiu snorted, Wen Qiao is just a vixen. I have the capital to be a vixen. She is so beautiful. After Shi Tianxiu got off work from the company, she was depressed and suddenly received a text message. Do you want to give Wen Qiao some punishment? It was Zhao Xi, the pharmaceutical manufacturer who wanted to treat Qasim on the plane but was stopped by Wen Qiao. Shi Tianxiu immediately became excited. How do you want to punish me? Didn't Yao Kewen give birth to an illegitimate child? I have reliable information. That boy is now at Wen Qiao's house. We can't do anything about Wen Qiao, but we can't do anything about a brat. Shi Tianxiu hesitated. We can't break the law. Don't worry, I'll let the people below do it, that is, scare that kid, beat him up, and add some trouble to Wen Qiao. What can she do to us? Shi Tianxiu said bitterly, you are right, people like Wen Qiao just need to be dealt with. Jealousy changed her beyond recognition. She had just been provoked by this Zhao Xi, and she had already lost her mind. Why can Wen Qiao go smoothly and get whatever he wants? On this day, almost no one in the Wen family was at home. Wen Qi went to the club, Wen Mo went to the library, Su Ce went to the laboratory, Wen Qiao went to Fu Nanli Company to find him, and Uncle Ji was at the convenience store. Only Su Yun was washing the sheets in the yard, and Xiao Junhee sat on the pony next to him with a peach and looked at her. He wanted to help, so Su Yun waved her hand, you kid doesn't know how, just watch and you'll be fine. The sun was very hot at the end of July, and the sound of cicadas was endless. Xiao Junhee felt a little itchy when he heard the sounds of children playing and chasing each other in the backyard. After all, he is only a child with a 5-year-old mind. While Su Yun was drying the sheets, Xiao Junhee ran to the backyard. There were children of 5 or 6 years old playing in the backyard. Because the neighbors in this alley usually had a good relationship, and when Xiao had said hello again, the children took good care of Xiao Junhee. Xiao Junhee likes to play with these children. The children were playing a retro game like glass marbles. Xiao Junhee looked up and saw someone waving to him at the entrance of the alley. The person also had an ice cream in his hand. Thank you everyone for your rewards, laugh at the world. Tang tang, theater goer, closing time, closed today, the sea and sky are vast, crystal, modern world, beauty, thank you.